Recording has started.
Hello and good evening. Very warm welcome to you all on the first day of Executive Development Program, which is 9th batch in the series. My sincere gratitude to ICAI President and all members of ICAI. We at Committee for Members in Industry and Business have been continuing this series since April 2021. And we are extremely delighted to see your positive feedback and the difference it has been making in your lives. Today, the first day, we start this batch wherein for the next 7 days, in these 2 hours between 6 to 8 p.m., we will be getting an opportunity to listen to speakers from all around the world. And as you see in the schedule, there are interesting topics which are lined up. And each topic will definitely make a difference to you. I would encourage you to participate live, as due to the code of conduct, these videos are not available after a few hours. And they will be hidden for until December beginning. So therefore, please attend live and also encourage your friends to attend these sessions live. And if you have any questions which you need to put on the webcast link, there is an option to put the questions which you can key in at any point of time. Furthermore, the speakers in the session may ask you some points, answers to some questions, and I would encourage all who are present here to please respond to any requests by our speakers of the day. Today we have 3 speakers, wherein one will be presenting from Singapore, another who is based out of Dubai but currently in London. He will be joining from London, and third speaker will be joining from Dubai. I'm the program coordinator for this batch, and I am joining with you all from Dubai. Our first speaker is a very senior member of our profession. We are very happy to have C. Alagappan Periyanan, who is based out of Singapore. Alagappan has more than 30 years of experience in the accounting profession as well as industry. He is the director of ACME Corporate Services Pte Limited, Singapore. For the last 12 plus years, ACME has been acting as one-stop provider of services that include incorporating companies, branch and representation offices in Singapore. ACME also provides accounting, income tax, tax advisory, GST, and corporate secretarial services for their clients in Singapore and the region. ACME specializes in basic to complex accounting, income tax, GST, and accounting-related requirements of businesses in Singapore. Alagappan is an expert in financial and corporate management matters with extensive experience in advising and implementation of accounting, corporate compliance, and audit processes in due alignment with organizational objectives and strategy. Alagappan is a member of ICAI. He is a fellow chartered accountant. He is a member of Singapore Accounting Institute. He is also a fellow member of ICAW UK. He is also a fellow member of CPA Australia. He has completed his MBA from Charles Sturt University, Australia. And he is a co-founder and past chairman of our Singapore chapter, which is the largest chapter in Asia region except Middle East. So please be attentive and be careful to learn from our esteemed speaker. We also have with us Mr. G. Ranganathanji, who is the Secretary of the Committee for Members in Industry and Business. And sir, thank you so much for being here with us today and agreeing to share your wisdom on a very important topic with our young members. And in the past few months, we have been interacting with the members. In every batch, we have done a couple of sessions for communication, and there are many questions which come up because large number of our members also come from the cities where English is not a very common language, and some of our members have mostly studied in their own native language. And even though we may have studied in English, but many times we falter to communicate in English. Many times we are not able to effectively communicate it in a business language, which most widely used business language, English, across different regions. So thank you for agreeing to take this topic, and I'm sure with your 30 years of experience in Singapore, members will benefit a lot. And I request all our young members who are present here today to please give a big virtual round of applause for our speaker. And sir, the screen is yours.
Thank you for your introduction. I'll try my best to meet the standards you have already set for me. Thank you. So, good evening, my fellow professional colleagues. Glad to be the first speaker in the 9th batch of the Executive Development Program organized by Committee for Members in Industry and Business, CIMB we call it, has organized a lineup of great speakers and very useful topics for members to benefit from. I've seen the topics, they are really very good, very varied. They are covering many areas. I'm sure it gives a full all-round picture for our members who are coming in. So I would like to thank the committee, ICAI President CA Nihad N. Jamburasaria, for giving me this opportunity to address my fellow professionals on enhancing effective communication. I use the word enhancing because everybody knows how to communicate, what we do. We have the basics. We are already doing it well. So I just want to add some additional points that will enhance it. In my view, that will enhance them for you. So kindly bear with me for the next 1 hour. I'll try my best to give you some good pointers that will be helpful, that is based on my experience and what I've done so far. So no matter what job you have in life, your success will be determined 5% by your academic credentials, 15% by your professional qualifications and experience, and 80% by your communication skills. So that is the major part of our future. Whatever you're already qualified as a CA, we have got a good professional qualification, very well recognized all over the world. It's very good. So now you're moving forward to the next step. So that is where I think 80% of it is going to be effective communication. So how do you do that? Good communication is when your words, your voice, and your body, means your body language, we call it, speak the same language. So they all must be in sync. So if you're talking something very nice, but your face reaction or your tone doesn't match it, it is not a good communication. So the ability to communicate effectively is a key factor for success. Having access to a set of effective verbal and non-verbal communication, it all is important. So good communication is an essential in achieving productivity and maintaining strong working relationship at all levels in an organization. So when we're talking about non-verbal, I mean your body language, all those things, your tone, all that comes under non-verbal. So everything is important. So it's just not the words. If you're writing emails, even in the emails, the way you write the wording, what sentences, what words you're using, how powerful they are, whether they are reaching to the right party, whether if it's a boss, how you write to your boss, everything is important. So you need to know your position, your level, your language. It is very important to learn that. So what do we mean by effective communication? So by effective communication, listening is also part of effective communication. So when you're talking about listening, you really need to give a listening ear to the person who's talking to you, communicating with you, so that you understand better what they are asking, what they are saying. So there is no skill or technique that will make you a better communicator. There's not one. There are many. So let's see what they are. So whenever you speak clearly and don't rush when you're talking. So you take the time. It may take a few seconds extra, but it's important that you communicate clearly with whoever you're talking to. That's important. It's important to be yourself. If you try to put up something, some act or some extra things which is not your natural form, it will not last long. Maybe it will give you for the first 5, 10, 20 seconds in that form. After that, it will change. So my suggestion is you be yourself. It also helps to consider your audience. So when you're talking to a particular group of audience, you need to know who your audience are. Now at least I know all of them are CA professionals and then qualified people. So if you're going to a school, addressing a parent-teacher association or speaking at a different forum of volunteers, charity and all that, you need to know what they are, focus on their point and then talk to them. That is when you will get their attention. So people will be more likely to communicate with you if you respect them and respect their ideas. So it's important that you respect your audience also. So that is when people would like to engage with you. So simply addressing another person using their name, that's very important. The name is the best sound to any person. So make sure that you get the pronunciation of the person correct, because if you're traveling to other countries, the names are different, the pronunciation is different. So please ask them how to pronounce the name correctly and pronounce it. They will be very, very happy. So that is important. And effective communication is vital, both in and out of workplace. So we are not talking about effective communication only at your workplace. It's even in your own personal, it's important. So communication plays a part in all parts of your life. So communication helps you to translate your intentions and feelings into easily understandable messages. So how you communicate, use the word and all that is important. Effective communication makes you more productive worker. How I mean by productive worker is if you give clear instructions to your staff, your colleagues, your team members, they understand it better, the work is done faster. So that is what I mean. It helps you in doing things faster for your colleagues. And convey your message using as few words as possible, whether in person, by telephone, email. Convey your messages clearly. When I write my emails or messages, I always make it a point to go and read again. So you want to say something? No, okay, sorry.
No.
Oh, okay. No. So when you are writing your emails, make it a practice to go and reread the email and make sure that, when you're thinking and writing an email, your flow may be there. But when you go and reread it, you will notice that there are certain links, certain important words missing. So it's important to reread your email. And if it is something very, very important, give yourself a break to come back and read it after some time. We always do that when you're doing accounts and all that. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. When you're checking a trial balance that doesn't balance. Nowadays, it doesn't happen in automated account, when you're using software. But when you used to do the manual accounting, sometimes we don't have a balance in the account. So we always give a gap, come back, check, and then find the mistake. If you're in the same mindset, you continue to do that, you will not find the mistake. So it's always better to give a gap and come back. Being able to communicate is an essential skill. Whether it's in your business life or your personal relationship, effective communication, remember, is your key to success. And how do you communicate within your company? Within a company will be your colleagues, how do you communicate with them? So it will help when you communicate well with your colleagues. You communicate means you know what you're telling them, your instructions will be followed, and then they will understand it better. They may not come back to you and disturb you many times to ask you for clarifications and all that. So whatever your main point is, start there. So if you want to say something, go direct to the point. So you don't waste time, because the first few minutes, few sentences are very important for people when they listen to you. So make sure you start off with the points that you want to say. So you start off clearly, and then you ask for, be direct and be concise. Don't be very long-winded. Just use the correct words. Try to keep it as low as possible, as very minimum words used possible. And if they need, they'll come back and ask you for doubt. So let them also think through what you have said, communicated, and come back and ask you for it. So when you see a message is not getting across, suppose you are trying to say something, but it is not received by the other person in the way that you mentioned or something, don't always assume that the other person is wrong. It may be you. So think about that. Maybe your communication, maybe you missed something, or maybe some important word was not included, or something important was not conveyed correctly. So that's a key. So when you connect with them, it's important to understand what level of knowledge they have. So you have to talk to their level for them to understand better. So if you go and talk at your level, and then is a junior person, he may not understand that. So always make sure you understand your audience and the person who is receiving it, and then you do it accordingly. If you are concerned someone is not pulling their weight, not doing what they need to do, and they are making mistake, you talk to them directly about it. Means you have a one-on-one with them, or you don't do that in a team, in front of group, in front of other people. It's not very nice, and the person will not be very happy to receive that kind of a message from you. So always make sure that when you want to appreciate somebody, do it in front of a group. When you want to appreciate them, when you want to congratulate them, when you want to say that they have achieved something, do it in front of a group. Do it in front of many people, so that they will also get motivated. They know that you are a boss, or you are someone who will appreciate the work done. So do that. And one very important point in my own personal belief, work, don't take credit that is not rightfully due to you. If the person who did the work and knows or comes to know some other time, they will really lose the confidence, faith in you, and they will think that whatever we do, this man is taking the credit for it. So always give the credit due to the person who is doing that. What I usually do is, when my staff do the report, prepare the report and all that, it will be checked by me. I'll do everything. But when I go to my boss and then I present it to him, I will tell him that so-and-so did it. And I also make sure that in my staff's hearing distance, I tell my boss that this was done, this report was prepared by so-and-so, and it has come out very well. So at least they know that I'm not, owning it up, and my boss also knows who prepared it. That's very, very important. It will help you a lot in your growth, in your relationship with your colleagues and staff. And when you're doing with different professionals, when you're working in a company, you have to meet many different people from different areas of work, maybe engineers, maybe other areas. So you need to understand how much of information they know about accounts or finance that you're talking about. So you talk to them up to that level, and maybe they will understand better. And when you deliver a difficult message, suppose somebody's increment was not given the way they expected or something, you make it in a nice, positive way. You don't be you just open it up and then say it, so the person receiving it gets a shock. So it's important that you tell them in a positive, nice way. Maybe you tell them that, hey, this year, your work maybe was not up to this level or something. These are areas that you need to improve. So you give them suggestions, and then you break the news with them. So they will be in a receptive mode, and they will also accept their areas, the weaknesses and all that. And that will be easy for them to make. And, it's very important to engage in a team. So team building exercises and all that you can do. You can have your group as a team meeting on an evening or going out for dinner or some team building outside the office. All this will help your work when you come back. So your personal relationship, all that will improve. Maybe you can call them for a Diwali party or those kind of things. Events are very good. And if you're meeting in a professional organization, like if you're CAs meeting together and your colleague is also part of the group, it will be very helpful. So you get to see the person outside the office. If it's your boss, also you get to see them outside. So that will be very helpful. Not always look at them from the working angle, look at them as a friend. Sometimes it really helps. If they are a good friend, they will also tell you their problems. It can be easily resolved by you. In order to maintain a strong relationship, whether in your personal or professional life, it's crucial to practice open and honest communication. This is very important. So when you're talking to your colleagues, just be open. Tell them what you think about them. Just tell them in a nice way, but be very clear what you think, how they need to improve and all that. And now talking to your boss also is very important. Your boss is a guy who is going to review your work, give you your comments, give you a salary increment, promotion. There are many things that he's going to do that. So it's important that you have a good relationship with your boss. So having your boss's support is also important for you to get your work done, because there are a lot of resources that must be given by your boss. Maybe you're running closer to a deadline. You need some additional manpower to help you. Some other department staff need to be reassigned to this or something like that. This is where your boss has to help. So have a good open communication with him and always keep in touch with him. Keep him updated. Where are you? What are your plans? Where are you? If you're going to be stuck in somewhere, if you see some problem coming up, certain things not happening, and discuss with your boss and keep him in the loop. Similarly, this also will help you if you're doing this with your subordinates, your colleagues also, so that you know as a team what is happening, and then it's very helpful. Just mentioning about listening is also part of a very important part of the communication skills. So let's look at listening now, how important it is. Listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. So listening is key to an effective communication. So it's very important to listen to what the other person is telling you. Without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. The person may be saying something, but you didn't hear it correctly, so there will be a misunderstanding. So similarly, when you are saying something, but the person who is receiving it is not attentive, I would suggest that you take a pause, get their attention back, and then you continue. So you really need to see their body language, the other non-verbal cues. I'll say a few things about that later. It's important that you do observe your recipient. Sometimes maybe you're long-winded, they already know that. You can cut short. You can just tell them something, okay, at this stage, and then you look at it, and then come back to me if you need more information. You can do that also. One of the most important of effective communication is good listening. So that is very important. And this is very important when you're listening. Even when you're listening, suppose you have your own judgment about the person, you will miss them for sure. So always listen with an open mind. Whatever they are saying, just listen to them, and if something they are saying, it alarms you, yes, you can be alarmed, but don't say it out. Don't say it out by saying that is a stupid move, or you cannot do that, or something like that. Just listen to them, but you say what exactly you feel, not using any of these harsh negative words. It will put the person off, and they may not communicate further with you. So don't have any judgments with them when you're listening. And very important is also don't jump into conclusions. When somebody starts to share something with you, you listen to them, give them an opportunity to say fully what they want to say. So you just listen to them in full, and don't give them any judgments, or wait for them to complete, and after that you say you can go and say what you want to say. And it's the person who is thinking and sharing with you, so we don't know what is the things that he's going to say after that. So best is to wait and listen to them fully. And when somebody is talking about a problem, you listen to them also fully. Don't give them solutions halfway. Maybe they already know the solution, and then they may ask you for the options, which one to choose, or they may already decided, so they're just bouncing it on you. So just listen to it. And then at the end of it, maybe you can say, okay, maybe you can choose this option, or you say, okay, what you're telling me looks good. I think whichever options you decide, you let me know. We can discuss further, something like that. And when people don't communicate with you, with a person, if the person is only interested in saying what they want to say. What I mean is, it should be a two-side. So you must say, the other person also must listen, and they must come back. They must be given an opportunity to say something. So it's always important that you give them some time, some allowance to talk. And you don't be talking, say something, and then walk off from the place. Don't do that. So maybe one time, two time it will work for you, but as you go by, it will not help. They will brand you like that. So it's always important you maintain consistency with your colleagues. When you're talking about non-verbal communication, I was just mentioning earlier, is very important, is your body language. So it is a very effective communication. So pay attention to your own facial expressions and body languages when you are speaking with someone. It's very important. So you also observe how the other person is reacting to what you're saying. From what they are reacting, you will understand maybe what you're saying is not interesting to them, or they already know, or they are not somebody who's receptive. So you need to observe, and then you need to modulate, you need to change the subject, or you need to ask them for what is that they want, and then you can continue. So non-verbal skills are a great way to communicate. So attentiveness and non-verbal, you can show your attention. When somebody is talking, you can show them you're attentive, you're listening, you're following what they're saying. So it's very important for the speaker to understand. So it's very important. And when someone is, when you go and meet somebody for the first time and you shake hands with them, it's a non-verbal communication also. You will see from the handshake whether the person, how strong, the grip is appropriate, firm, what kind of a person is that. You will, by experience, you will be able to decide what kind of person is this. Can we decide on it? Maybe it's just a judgment, but just keep it for your own usage. You don't need to share it with you. It may be wrong. So maybe your judgment is wrong. So you don't share your wrong judgment with other people. If it is positive, you share it. If it is wrong, you observe the person more longer before you say anything about someone. So that is important. And when you're talking to somebody, they keep adjusting their dress or they're doing something, fidgeting, means it clearly shows that they're not interested in the topic that you're speaking. So you just have to have all these cues from them. So when you're talking about facial expression, is one of the main indicators of someone's attitude. When you're saying something, the first few seconds, the person can try to manage the facial changes, but first few seconds, they don't have control over it. So if you watch them carefully, you will know that, okay, this person is not comfortable and things like that. So facial recognition, you have to be very, very careful with that. Just learn it by observation, how different people do different things. It's important to be aware of different mannerism and culture. When you're going to different countries for work, and you also will receive different foreigners to your office, to your colleagues and all that. So learn from the mannerism. Maybe for us in India, we are brought up in a certain way, we understand certain things. But when you're going overseas, certain things are not allowed, certain things are the way they do it, but we think it's not correct. So it's always important to learn. Spend some time before you go on a trip overseas for a holiday, for work. Especially if you're going for work, it's good to read up something. Read something on that for the culture, for mannerisms and all that. Or when you go there, if you have your local friends, do talk to them. They may share something. So it's important. And then each country, each places, like in Singapore, we call it Singlish. We have they have their own way of saying certain words, certain things. So we need to understand all that. So initially when I came, it took me some time to learn all that. So now, yes, I understand what they mean. So, and then for a local, it's important that you sync with them. And if you also use a few words, it's not that you have to force yourself to use it. If you're comfortable in using those local words, local dialect, please use it so that it gives you a good, close rapport with them. And another thing about speaking, we also use some filler words. I've used it a few times now, if you notice. And, the few filler words that we call it is like, so, yeah, I mean, okay, and all that. These are filler words that we use just to, maybe there's a time you're thinking, maybe we don't have a continuous way of doing it. So we are thinking. So all these things try to avoid by practice, by planning and doing it. One of my suggestions would be to join Toastmasters. I recently joined it and I find it very, very useful. They are very good. They train you in the sense you're given an opportunity to speak. There are people who come and there'll be people who will evaluate your speech. They will give you feedback and they will tell you how to improve on what you're speaking and all that. So Toastmasters is very helpful. So if there is one in your area, please join that. It's really useful. And talking about communication, tone is very important. That tone is very important. Is your tone of voice is not what you say, it's how we say it. So it's very important that we use the correct tone. So just change the tone and you will see the change in life. This is true for me. I used to have a lot of difficulty with my tone. I used to communicate, I used to say something, but people understood it differently because my tone was a culprit. I have got a lot of feedback and I try my best to always change it, understand where my tone, why it went wrong or why did I use that kind of tone. It's very important to observe. You may not know it yourself, so always be open for feedback. Feedback is very, very important. So I'll say something about it later on feedback. So whenever you're communicating the tone, use positive language. So instead of saying we can't, you need to, those kind of things, you can change your vocabulary. You can use we can try, we will see how to do it. We can work together, those kind of things. So it's very important that you present it in a nice tone. Sometimes you will realize when you're doing, your tone is not very helpful. You will realize it by your own, you need to check yourself and you will know where you went wrong or which tone you used and you shouldn't have used it. So that's important. And remember one thing, you're talking to another human being. This is very important. You are not talking to a robot, and you're not a robot, so you should not sound like one also. So even if you have a script to follow, it's very important that you sound like, let me see what I can do and all that. It should be very polite. And keep it casual and friendly. Friendly is very good. Even when you try to be casual, if you're a customer and the guy is angry, if he sees you're very lethargic, it doesn't work for you. But if you're at the same time very friendly, approachable, they will be very happy with it. When you do things on a friendly way, it will never fail you. So just remember that. So even though your tone is a very small component of what you're saying, it should never be underestimated. So improving your tone can help create a positive work environment, strengthen understanding and appreciation for your team. Very important. and result is better collaboration and teamwork. When you're working in in an organization, you cannot be island. You have to work together with your colleagues to produce result. You cannot do it yourself. So it's very important you win over everyone. So each one will help you when at the time you have some issues. Same time when you see your friends, your colleagues having some issue, just step in and help them. You don't know when you will need them. You don't need to ask, they will come and help you. So we have been looking at different communication, what are the different ways of communicating, what is important, how you can improve and all that. I have some suggestions for you to sharpen your communication skills. There are some suggestions for you. So what you do is you avoid information overload. Don't say too many things. If you say too many things, they will be confused. So what you do is whenever we communicate, we almost always focus on conveying the message in a clear manner. Just try to keep it concise. Just word it. Just use few words and try to communicate. Don't miss the keywords, but try to say what needs to be done. Keep it relevant to the topic. Information that actually meets the user need is likely to overwhelm them. If you provide too much of information, suppose they have to do 5 steps or something, maybe you just give them the first 2 or 3 steps, tell them to finish it, and then they come back. This is the first round. Next round, they will know what to do, so it will make it easier for you. So that is how you can improve your communication. And keep it very clear. Your communication must be very clear. It must be simple and relevant. And clarity to be effective. Provide supporting information. Suppose you know certain rules, certain laws are there. You just highlight those important points for them, but also provide a link, a website link or a PDF document or some document that they can read up at leisure. You may say the important points, just highlight it. You don't dump everything at them, say these are all things that you need to follow. Just tell them the important things they need to follow, but also give them, when you have time, go and read up. These are the links, these are the information where you can get at your own convenient time. So at least follow this first. You will understand why I said this when you read all these things. So it's very important for you. And make it clear that what is done is, when you make it clear what is to be done when you pass the information, so what action should the user take and why they should do that. Make it easy for the user to take action. So if they need to complete a task, there and then make it accessible and make it obvious. One of the very important points that I want to say is, you may need something very urgently, but the person doesn't understand that because it's your deadline or you needed to do it. So you need to communicate with your person who is helping you, with your colleague, to share the information with them, with your team, and win them over so everybody works on it to finish it in the given time. So it's important that you don't expect them, they will understand, but it's important for you to communicate. Another thing that I want to say is about when you are reacting in anger. We all get angry, we're all human beings. So when you are in anger, when you are in that mood, try not to talk, try not to communicate, don't write emails in that. When decisions taken, when you're angry, is most likely not be the right one. You will regret it later. So pause, give yourself, have a coffee, go for a walk, change the topic, listen to a song that you like, do something that will change the mind for you. So responding at that time is a no-no. You can just take a short break, you will come back to normal. If not, just give it a break. So don't do it immediately. And when you're talking to somebody, when you're angry, automatically your tone gets harsher and you may say something. And nobody is doing a job wantedly, and they didn't do it because they want to make a mistake. They want to do it wrongly. So it's just oversight, maybe the knowledge, maybe the experience, all that. So it's good for you to give them some allowance for that. Everybody makes mistake. You and I, everybody makes. So give them an allowance, and then you guide them at your own pace. Give them some helping hand. Help them understand why, where they went wrong. They'll be really happy and appreciate it. So when your customer or someone is angry and is raising their voice, you have to first calm them down. No point in matching their pitch. If you do that, you become the aggressor. So don't do that. And by responding to someone when you're angry, as I'm just mentioning, it doesn't help. But when somebody is angry and you cool them down, you respond to them positively, and then you relax them, they will become your friend. So that is very important. And when you're calm, when you're calm and angry and all that, you don't do things and set any example for your colleagues to follow. They may also think, even if your family, your kids and all that, if they see that daddy is doing this when he is angry, and they may follow that. I recently saw one LinkedIn post by of a small daughter, a 3-year-old daughter, who had spoiled the person's laptop by pressing some keys and all that. So the work laptop was spoiled, and the father was very, very angry. And before he could shout or something, this was in the article, the LinkedIn that I read. The guy remembered his father, how he handled it. So at that time, when he was a kid, he had spoiled something of the father, and the father didn't take it up very angry with him, played some games, and cooled that boy down, because the boy was also very upset at that time. Both of them played some games, changed the topic, changed the thing, they became normal and all that. Later on, they found a way to resolve the issue. So same thing the father remembered. So he set a precedent to his daughter, following his father, what he learned from his father. So it's very important that you use these kind of things and cool the person down. They will be really happy with the way you handle it, and they will take it very positive. And I just have a small quiz for you for 30 seconds. I think you just think of the answer. I don't think you can post it. So what is the shortest word in English language that contains the letter A to F? Means A, B, C, D, E, F. All these alphabets must be there in the word, and it's shortest. Just 30 seconds. We'll have some water. Okay, very important. You will never forget this word when I say. The word is feedback. So the word feedback has all the alphabets from A to F, and very important. So now this feedback word should be there in your memory always. So don't forget, feedback is one of the essential elements of good communication. It's very important. Whatever you think is right may not be received by like that, but you will never understand that until the person gives you a feedback. So think about that. Also important that you also give feedback to when you see that what the person delivered, they don't understand that. They think it's right, they're delivering it. So you just give them some feedback. So similarly, you also take feedback. Honest feedback is very important. And feedback is the response or action of receiver to the sender's message. So always make it a point when you receive an email, also just say, okay, noted. At least the person knows that you have read the email. One thing about WhatsApp, which I don't like, the feature is the people taking out the blue tick. So when they take out the blue tick, I'm lost. Whether they read the message or no, I don't know. So when somebody does that, I do tell them, they're my friend, I tell them next time, please, after you read it, put a okay for me. So communication feedback is very important, because you think the guy has read, but maybe he didn't read it. So it's important. And feedback must be constructive. It's a robust tool for creating healthy environment in the organization. You should have a good feedback procedure in your working environment. So it's very helpful. And sometimes when you give feedback, many people are not comfortable. Why are you commenting on what I did and all that? So be positive. You don't have to give that in a group, as I was telling you earlier. You can just have a one-on-one feedback if it is negative. So just take it offline with them. And feedback is about listening attentively. Only when you listen very attentive, you will be able to understand the whole thing, and you can give feedback. So it's very important. So just for criticizing, don't give feedback to anyone. Nobody welcomes that. So that is very important. Okay, I'm really running out of time. So I have about 5-10 minutes more. So I just want to share some final thoughts. for you to take away, for you to understand the importance of communication. So strong communication skill is a wonderful skill to have in your arsenal. It means it should be there with you always. And you should use it correctly, and then that will really help you a lot. And great communication skills will help you in every phase of your life. Please remember, whether it's your family, your elders in your family, your friends, your everybody, your work, everywhere, communication is very important. And you will see how helpful it is. I've seen people, when I work with them, I used to wonder, how I'm trying to learn, improve myself, but when I see people communicating very nicely, I do envy them. Wow, this guy's skill is very good. It really going to take him very far. It is true. You see their growth, the way they move, the way they get things done is very easy for a person who can communicate very well. It's a very good skill to learn. As I was just telling you in the initial beginning, that's 80% of your future now. You already have your qualification, you already have all that. So now is the time for you to look how to sharpen it, how to take it forward and move forward. So please remember that. And read very good books. There are some very good books for communication. One of the books I recommend is from Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Frankly, that book changed me a lot. It gave me a different idea. The guy gives you good examples, real life examples, how he handled everything and how you want people. It is very true, very practical. No false, don't put up anything that is not correct. Be very truthful, but you will win over just by communicating. You be honest. That's very, very important. And you will be able to get more of what you want when you communicate very well. It's very true. I had a case where we had to collect some payment, and then I went to the office. I just went there for the first time. So before talking about the payment, I was talking with the guy about his office, the room, the poster, all that in his office. And I never asked about the payment. It was quite some long overdue payment. And after all these things, the guy was so happy. He called the CFO and told him, can you prepare the check and pay them? I never asked for it. I went there to ask, but I never asked. So it's very important the way you communicate with people. You don't need to ask. They will know what you're looking for. You don't need to directly say that. But they will still understand. They're happy, they want to do something, they will do it. Okay, some final takeaway points, some for you, just some liners for you. Offer a genuine smile when you're talking. Be genuine. That's very, very important. Don't put up any false face or words with what you're saying. Just offer a genuine smile. Ask the right questions. Don't ask questions for the sake of asking questions. The speaker or anybody, even the presenter or your friend, whoever it is, they will get irritated with you. Do ask the right questions. If you think it's right, ask. You don't need to see whether it's really right. If you think it's right, ask. Practice active listening, very important. And find a common ground even in an argument. You may be having an argument with somebody, but there will be something in common between the two of you. So you bring it up. You can talk about that. Argument can be later. You can always resolve it. But find some common ground to understand, to talk. Maybe you have some understanding. You have a base to go with it. Start with that. Your communication will be very good. And feedback. Remember A to F. So feedback. So very important. Give a honest feedback and also be ready to accept the feedback. And de-stress and calm down. If you are stressful, if you are stressed, avoid doing anything important. Don't do it. Don't do in the time of stress. You will never do it correctly. You will make mistake. You will spend more time. You will be redoing it. So don't do that. And last but not the least, there's a point that I want to say: empathize with others. What you have achieved certain level. Not many people are lucky that way. So do empathize, be giving them a good listening ear, see how you can help people, and I'm sure you will be very successful in life. Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Any
so
questions?
much. Yes, we will have some questions. I would request members, those who present here, to please put any questions which you may have. So before I read out the questions to you, I would like to share that many positive comments on the session we have received, where there are comments that it was a great learning session.
Thank you.
And very well accepted. We have a question from Somnath, who is asking you to repeat the name of the book which you had taken.
Sorry, name of the?
Name of the book which you had suggested.
Oh, Dale Carnegie is the author's name, and the book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a very, very good book. I read it some 30 years back. I tell you, it completely changed me. A friend of mine saw the way that my tone, all those problems I was going through. This friend suggested to me, you read this book. And I really thank him for that. So he introduced that book to me. I've read that book many times. I still keep a copy with me. It's really very good. There are many, many books, but this book is something I always like.
Yeah, you spoke about Dale Carnegie, and Dale Carnegie wrote the first book in 1932. And many times whenever I take communication sessions, I speak about Dale Carnegie making a great impact with other leaders, such as the founder of a Toastmasters, or founder of TED Talks, or the person who is managing the TED Talks now. And I read the story of a Dale Carnegie, and he got inspired to communicate well because he saw that people, those who communicate well, are seen as the leaders. And he started participating in school and college competitions. And initially he was a bad speaker. He was trying hard. He was practicing, but he was losing. But then he got that skill, became a very successful salesman, and then moved careers and one of the successful person because of good communication. I have one question which which is regarding the feedback point, where you said that A to F letters, and when that question you asked, I was also thinking myself, but I never thought to put some of the letters more than once. And
No. I didn't say you can only use it once. I only said...
No, that's right. So I want to ask you that is there anything we can do, to improve our vocabulary? Any suggestion you may have, like our thinking power, something on this?
I think reading books, some great authors, reading speeches from them. One of the things I think I missed out today was using the pause.
Okay.
Using pause is very important. You don't go on and on and on. Sometimes at the right time you need to pause. There is this speech, I think by Henry Truman, if I'm right. He said, don't ask what the country can do for, in that sentence, if you read it, he has given a pause for every few words. That is where people really get to listen more. So I forgot to touch on this. Yeah. Pause is also important. So don't go on continuously talking. Give pause at the right time, or maybe just give a gap. So get people's attention more. So it's important.
Right. Right. As you are talking about attention of the people, and you had deliberated on listening, and these days, and you talked about if any person is working on his dress and all that, it appears that he or she, may not be interested to listen. And we ourselves struggle to listen because so many gadgets are available, our screen, our phone. And, we just get away. So therefore, if you don't mind, can you quickly share any personal example or any pointers, 2 or 3 things which we can do to become a better listener? Quickly.
Oh, putting away the gadgets is very, very important. When you're really going for something that you a meeting, for example, if you go and answer your phone, you miss the important point, what they were saying. So
Right.
I think putting away the gadgets, switching off the phone, if you can, all those
Right.
things. If you keep the gadgets on and then you go for a meeting, obviously you will miss it. So very important if you want to listen is to whatever is diverting your attention, you have to shut them off. And
Right.
it's like, I won't say it's equivalent to meditation, but how you want to focus on that. You want something out of it, you want to learn something, and you value the speaker, or you value what they're delivering. You're going to learn something from that. You're going for an exam, for a class, or something. Try your best to focus on that. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to stay focused for a long time. So have some in between short breaks and all that. So I think continuously in anything is difficult. So
Right.
just give a break. Keeping gadgets away, I think that will be the most. Sometimes we cannot, but if you can, that's the best.
Right. You shared a very beautiful example of, you visiting someone's office where you didn't ask for a money, and then also you got that. And I can recall, these 6 principles of persuasion and influence book written by Robert Cialdini. And he beautifully says that, we need to build up liking, and as you said, use the word common ground. So, is
Yeah.
there anything without affecting your confidentiality? Can you share that you may be talking anything special you did that day, which helped you, which helped you to get your money without asking? The other person was so impressed.
No, when I
Anything?
fixed the appointment, the guy knew I'm coming there to follow payment. That was already preset. But
Okay.
he knew it was dragging for long, so I just went. When I asked him, because I don't meet him often, so when I
Right.
called for an appointment and sending reminders and all that, it was there. It was a preset agenda, but I didn't go and start the topic. It was in my back of my mind, but I was very genuine. When I went there, I saw his office, the way he had arranged things, the poster behind him, the wording. I always look for that when I go. So I really like that. I said, this is very nice. I forgot the wording now, but I told him, that's nice. And then I see you have a very clean table, and I see your work. I was just saying something very nice. We were just talking for a few minutes about that, but then I never asked on the payment. So after that, I don't know, maybe the guy really thought that, going on like this, so he should do something for me. So that was really very nice. Another very important thing I was talking about is giving importance to the work done by your colleagues, your feedback. That's very important. I always make it a point to say that in front of my boss and in a hearing distance for my colleague. I want to be very sure that they get credit for what they do. If you do all these things, I really seen benefit of that. This colleague that I was talking about, she was with me for 16 years. Get a Chinese lady working for 16 years with me is not easy. She was with me for that. So it's all very important. So I think it's good. So thanks for this time and opportunity. Let me know if something, any doubt or anything, then I'll be really happy to help.
Hi, Alakappan, thank you so much. I'm just trying, to connect with our speaker who was here but had to leave in between for a small engagement. So he hasn't joined yet. We have 5, probably in 5 minutes he may join. So is there any other thing, Alakappan, so you would like to share? So let me
If there are
try
any
to.
questions I can answer, otherwise something
Yeah,
you can do.
I don't have other questions right now. So, if you can share some other pointers on any important topic, just give me 5 minutes. Yeah, if you can share anything in 5 minutes, and I'll just get him on this. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. No,
Your story and about this ASEAN region.
yeah.
If you
So one thing I
share.
can tell you about coming about my experience, I was talking about the cultural differences and all that. So that's very important when you move to a different country. In Singapore, the is majority Chinese, and they have a lot of similarities with our Indians. The way maybe we say something, but they have a different way of saying it. Like our full moon, all that, like Amavasya, we say there, that's the first day for them. So there are many things in common, but there are certain things that they don't follow. Or they follow the opposite. Like for them, if you're going to a wedding, you need to put it in a red packet and give the present. The first time when I was in Singapore, there was a colleague's marriage, and luckily that one colleague of mine asked me, "Hey, do you know what to do? You're coming for a Chinese wedding today." I said, "I know. We in India we always take a white envelope, put everything, put our money inside, and then give it." Then the lady really jumped out of her seat. She said, "In Singapore, we only give this at the time of when you attend a funeral. So don't do that." Luckily, I asked you. So then she gave me the red packet. So I learned from there that it's very important that we need to understand the culture. It's really important, especially when you are in a different country. You don't assume your own, whatever you're doing applies in that country also. It's good to know there are some finer points. There are many, many things that are like that. So this always, I remember that, red packet is important for Chinese, and they don't use white. So white is for funeral. So that is one. And then the way you say things, how you do it and all that. So for them, I think it's very important to learn different cultures. So it's good to maybe read up something about them or talk to people. Only when occasion comes up, people will say that, like what happened to me, the colleague was telling me before going to the wedding, she asked me. So you may not know everything, but you have to pick it up over the period. So observe what is important for the other cultures. We cannot impose our culture on them. So that is important. And what else we can talk about? We have spoken on, I missed out on the pause, so I mentioned that. So pause is important. And attentive listening is important. We have to give all attention when you are listening to people. And body language is very, very important. You need to learn that. You need to ask people for feedback, because on your own, you will not know that your body language is not in sync. So it's important to get feedback from people. Genuine friends, they can give you feedback. Your colleagues can give you feedback. So I think it's important.
Yeah.
Generally, feedback is important, and all this is important. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
And I would request our committee secretary, Mr. G. Ranganathan ji, to please propose a vote of thanks to you. Ranganathan ji, can you hear me? It seems we are not able to connect. Thank you so much, Alagapanji, for taking out time and sharing the so valuable lessons with all our participants today, and this will go a long way in making a difference in their lives. So thank you for your contribution as a great leader from Singapore, and we wish you very best for all your endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to our second session. The second session of the day, where we have CA Jaideep Singh, who is based out of Dubai, UAE. Jaideep is a group CFO and board member of Asmara Holdings, which operates globally with head office in Dubai. He is a merit-listed chartered accountant, cost accountant, and company secretary. He is visionary and performance-oriented executive, equally comfortable in CEO and CFO roles with multi-industry and global exposure. He has successfully restructured various businesses on the verge of bankruptcy. He has a critical experience of both the worlds in MNCs, General Electric USA, ArcelorMittal Steel, Olam International, and family groups which include IFCO, Hakan Agro, Damac, Fakhruddin Holdings. He is also the founder of the CXO Alliance, a networking forum for CEOs, CFOs, managing directors, and C-suites. As a CFO, he has cross-industry exposure to best practices. Specialities include speaker at Eurofinance, Euromoney, and CFO Middle East Conference in USA, Singapore, Dubai, and India. He also holds a Six Sigma certification from GE USA. He speaks multiple languages, which include English, French, Hindi, Arabic. Thank you so much, Jaideep, for being here with us today and agreeing to take a very important topic, which will definitely help our young members in getting knowledge, which will go a long way. I cannot see you, Jaideep. Is there any issue with your camera? Yeah, now it's fine. Sorry, I need to unmute you. Yeah. Yes, Jaideep. So thank you so much. And I'm sure 30 minutes we have will make a good difference with your experiences on this side. So I request all our members to please give a big virtual round of applause for Jaideep. And Jaideep, the screen is yours.
Yeah, well, first, before I start, can you see my screen? I'm sharing my screen.
Yes,
yeah, that's fine. Okay, wonderful. So, first of all, a very happy evening to the young and bubbling chartered accountants. Though I can't see you, but I'm sure my voice and you can see me. So, it's a pleasure and it's really an honor to be invited to be speaking here. I can imagine that when I was like you, okay, and I was actually looking forward to maybe some senior chartered accountant who can actually guide me through, but also it was like a scare that how do I approach. But thankfully today is like the virtual world, wherever we are sitting or wherever we are able to share the knowledge. For me, it's most important thing is that, knowledge is something to be shared. If it is never shared, it is only with you. Okay, it transcends boundaries and it has to be shared with the younger generation, then only the legacy can be taken through. So I've been given a very important topic, that is business turnaround and practical experience from the real world. But I will only start after saying a big hello to you, and I will clap for all of you because you are all very big achievers. If you have done your chartered accountancy, it's no mean achievement. So this clap is for actually being proud of yourself. Please have confidence and proud yourself. You have clicked something big in life. Okay. Now this qualification, after you have passed, you can hang it to the wall. The next is most important thing is what is the practical experience you gain. So that is the real thing I'm going to share with you today. And hopefully I have 2 live examples since I have worked in multinationals and also helped in turnaround as well as in family companies. Okay, so the first thing, it's a turnaround or a about turn. That's the watershed moment that we have to take, the decision. Okay, so that's why you see like 2 graphs that are there. One that is going down and the other that how you can actually pull it back. It's symbolic, the graph also. So as we speak, the turnaround, the most important thing that in the turnaround is that how you connect with the audience. Okay, so, and the first and foremost thing that is important is that you should be able to go and do a virtual deep diving. Just if you can give me a minute, I'm just trying to actually juggle with the So one of the most important thing is when you in the turnaround, when you find that you are yourself in a hole, okay? If you are in a hole, the first thing that you have to do is to stop digging. That's what Will Rogers says. So a turnaround is like that. A business is in a big hole. The first thing that the bleeding has to stop, okay? And once you are ready with your plan and action, then you move to the second stage. The most important thing, I'll take 5 minutes to go through the basics. When things go bad in your business, okay, and it is in a crisis, okay, we never go through the stage when we start avoiding. You'll see that most of the thing, when the business owners, when I have been with them, okay, when there is a crisis, they will try to wish it off, okay, and then most of the team, they will just try to dismiss it. Okay, so maybe it's like a bad luck or something happened, or maybe tomorrow it might just go and get rectified, okay. So this illusion, it's like an illusionary world. Nobody is trying to recognize. The blame game is going on. Okay, so this illusion normally prevents us from performing the drastic surgery. Okay, you know, the restructuring is nothing, but you need to make a surgery there. So the drastic surgery, no, the current team will never do. Okay, so it's like finding out a big hole and nobody wants to report about it, even look at it. Okay. So now the business turnaround, the most important thing that is there is that you have to be both on the operational, strategic and the financial aspects. Okay, has to be looked. And remember one thing, it's like you are like on your last ball in the cricket match. So with little time, no margin for error and maybe no second chances. The most important thing that you might not get a second chance. If you do a mistake or a blunder, the business is dead. Okay, so you have to you're operating a surgery, and that's a live business that's running. So then there are like two types of like strategic turnaround, strategic business turnaround, and the business rescue. The business rescue is like the business has hardly is about to just run out of cash, and the strategic business turnaround. So what is important is that adequate financial timing. So there has to be a timing that is where you can't like postpone things. Things are in a critical state, and then you have to actually come out with a financial plan. And then the most important thing is the motivation aspect. Okay, the team is just understand something. When you are in a place where it is about to go bankrupt, there is a huge amount of demotivation. People will not even connect with you, not even look at you. Okay, in the morning, as if their shutters are going to be just pulled down. Okay, and then the execution of the turnaround plan. The third and most important thing is how you execute the turnaround plan. Okay, so the success of turnaround plan will depend on the ability to identify, measure, evaluate your business key factors, success factors in the different parts. So after you have done the evaluation, then comes everything. So every reason for the business success and failure, except for a few, is the sudden illness, legal challenges, natural disasters may happening, or unfavorable government policy. Maybe a government passes that the current industry in which that industry is becomes illegal. So you become like your business becomes unviable. So important aspects is somewhere it is related to money, management, how you will come back, marketing and sales, people, one of the most important thing, products and services, and the process and systems. Okay. So the key point, most will spend 90% of their time and money on resources. Okay. On the resources which are like, for example, on solving problems. And focusing on things you can't control. Okay, so if 90% of the time is spent on things that you can't control, you can imagine the fate of what the business is going to happen. And so the first key to business breakthrough is that a successful turnaround will come from spending 90% of your time on finding the right solution. Okay, you have to as we were discussing, there are few balls left. Okay, and you have to actually plan. You need like 3 6s, maybe in 7, like 5 or 6 balls. So you can't make every ball, every hour, every time count. It's like the time is running out. Okay, and 10% of your time and money is in fixing it. Okay, so 90% when you want, it's like if you know knowing the problem is like 50% of the solution. Okay. So now, fine, we know that there's a big hole. So everybody should be understanding the situation, okay? And nobody should be obstructing. And then making sure that everybody fully understands and is committed to support the current situation. So everybody should be on the same page, as they say. This is a very powerful picture, okay? So now that we have identified and everything, your earnings has to go up, your profits has to go up, expenses has to come down, and losses has to come down. So now this is just a 5 minutes I had taken just to take you on the theoretical aspect, okay? Now let's come on the thing I was mentioning. So coming to the real life situation. So I was hired as a group CFO of one of the family companies and one of the biggest manufacturing that is in perfumes and cosmetics. Okay, that is, I will tell you, that is in UAE only. And the manufacturing, they had just moved into this facility some 2 years back, state-of-art facility. Okay, so when I was hired as the group CFO, the first task was told that we have invested huge amount of money. And maybe first initial days they used to call Jaideep, but after I earned the respect, I became like Jaideep Ji for them. Okay, so that is what the first important thing is, that you earn the respect. Okay, and then what was told to me that maybe it's a bad investment and then we might be able to close it down. Okay, because we are not able to make money and things like that. And when I went there, I found that there was a hostile management. It's like a family, so the family, the different divisions, they were not getting along well. And so there was a lot of I was appointed by the chairman, and the business division head didn't want to receive me, and he didn't want to get himself exposed. He was part of the family. So, the first initial days, you don't know exactly what to do. So just to sharing, the first and most important thing you can't go wrong is building relationship. Knowing people and building relationship. If the doors are closed on you, finished. You had it. You can't move any forward. Okay. So first know the people, build the relationship, and then you can actually move it. So just to understand, how many of you here, maybe I will just maybe take in the end 2 questions, maybe Pradeep can take the questions. How many of you have been exposed in your last 5 years, because I understand 5-year qualified chartered accountants are there, in a real type of restructuring and turnaround situations? Okay, I will answer that in the end. I'll leave 2 minutes for taking Q&A. So coming back here, so the challenge was, now there are 5 verticals in the manufacturing division, and then what I was told, to make matters worse, that Jaideep Ji, you have to solve, now today is like the 28th and we have to pay salaries to the workers. Okay, so normally, and now I tried to find the money. There's no money in the bank because it is making losses. And then what is it? The normal philosophy is that the trading division will give money, because apparently they don't borrow money. So the trading division will give money. And the biggest challenge is how to get the money. The chairman controls the money. So that is what is building relationship. I go there, then he doesn't want to pay. The biggest problem, he doesn't want to pay the family company. Then I have to actually assure him that something good is going to happen. This is an investment. I have to tell him you will lose 100 million dirhams versus losing 1.5 million dirhams. So somehow I am able to convince them, and I go armed with figures and things like that. So now the first challenge, my first month, I get the salaries paid. If I don't get the salaries paid, the shutters will be pulled down in a week. So the salaries paid, now everybody starts breathing in a relief. Now the challenge again comes. There is a partition in the family and people have lost hope, and they think that the manufacturing division is about to close, and I have to also do the partition plan. So I also do that and let them have the money. Okay. So they walk away thinking that there is no hope left. Now coming to that. Now after this, first and foremost thing that I believe in restructuring and turnaround, don't trust the numbers. Okay. Don't trust the numbers, because the numbers may go wrong. So I hired actually a team of 2-3 chartered accountants, and also a team of a couple of cost accountants also from a firm. And then together we did the deep diving to understand. My findings were very surprising. I would love to share it with you. The first and foremost thing that happened in my finding, I found that they have moved in a new facility and 15% of the fixed overheads is not factored in the total costing. Okay, so imagine if you are not factoring 15% of your fixed overheads, what happens? You're selling the product actually at less than the total cost. So the costing is the big relief when you're doing in a turnaround and restructuring plan to find out the real numbers. So I virtually involved myself in going into a costing session. I also did the costing also with myself, with my team. And we, in a matter of like 1.5 months, we came out with realistic costing for the top products. Our findings were simply surprising. Now to execute this plan, I had to make up a full PowerPoint presentation, and then what I did, I called for an urgent board meeting. So because now it was the time to do the surgery, and if I don't have support, I will not be able to do the surgery. It will just be a dying business venture. So now a board meeting was called, and I presented my things in a very, very practical and way, because apparently they are very well reputed people, but financially maybe I might not be able to communicate to them in that sense. So I had to go and virtually speak in Hindi and explain to them what is the real reason for the factory. So one is that the contribution products, which has the highest contribution, was not being focused on. So what we were doing, the highest contribution had just 5% of the sales. The biggest loss-making products has the biggest volume of sales. The costing, which was like, the costing was not taking the total cost, 15% of the cost were not factored. So we proposed like top strategies that we proposed. First of all, we can't sell at a loss. Okay, so there was a huge amount of resistance from the sales team, but it was a complete no-no. We raised the prices in one go for the top products by almost like 15%. So 15% of the selling price immediately covered this big gap. You will not believe the amount of resistance that we faced. We formed actually a senior leadership team. I can't do it alone all. So we formed a senior leadership team, the body, and along with HR, marketing, myself, legal, IT, and of course the strategy and the analytical team. So we all were having almost like in a week, twice a week meetings, and we were monitoring the cash, monitoring the results, monitoring the sales, monitoring the strategy. We made a written plan which was understandable, a 2-page plan that is to be done by everybody. Now, more important thing is you have to find the people who are supporting the plan quickly, the departmental heads, and who are opposing the plan. So we had to, for a short time, we had to change the purchase head. We had to change, in fact, one of the critical departmental heads, we just transferred it to some other division, and we ourselves took it. And then the thing started. Then the first sign of recovery started somewhere in 3.5 to 4 months. We started generating cash positive. We started making cash positive. And I am happy to share with you, from the company which was not having money to pay their workers, in a matter of 1.5 years, it was sitting with 50 million dirhams of cash on their balance sheet. So the important thing is, don't just stress the net profit. You need to focus on collections. You need to focus on purchase, how to bring down the purchase price, how to reduce the inventory, how to reduce the working capital cycle. Okay, and a total maybe possible freeze on the capital expenditure, because these are the areas from which the cash will just flow out and you will not even come to know. And if you lose cash, it is like the lifeblood for you. Okay, and that is how you have to bring it back to life. Okay, so just before we go to the next thing that is there, And a very important thing, the management who was actually not very pally with me in the initial stages, when they started seeing what was the plan and what we were doing, they became very friendly. And in fact, I won the trust that I was I became the CEO behind the curtains, executing most of the things. So the very important thing is you have to win the respect. You have to do things that is right. Okay, time is really, it can be a friend or it may just run out. So you have to focus that how much time you have, how much cash you have. Are we really able to stem the losses? Are we able to actually maybe improve the sales? Focus on the products, the contribution which is very high, and so many other aspects. I would just make it a little interactive. Do we have any questions at this point of time? Because I can see I still have few minutes. Right, Paradin? Hello? Mr. Baweja? Hello? Who can help me? Is there Mr. Reddy? Okay, fine. So while we are ready to take the questions, in the meantime, first and foremost, what we did, we turned around the perfumes and cosmetics division. Okay, and if I get a couple of questions or three, I will in fact share which group I am talking about, so you will be able to relate. Today, it is one of the second largest in perfumes and cosmetics, and we are really proud of it. Okay? And the company we started, it didn't even have a website, so we just took it from zero to where it is, the current position. So that is where the whole learning. The second actually I wanted to talk is my experience in ArcelorMittal Steel. Okay, so just because we have a short time, I will just touch on the few points that were there. I'm talking of a plant that is very famous, that was in Algeria, and I was specially handpicked I mean, because I speak French. It's a French and Arabic speaking country, and I understand the French system of accounts also. I handpicked Mr. Lakshmi ArcelorMittal Steel, which is the largest steel manufacturer in the world, to go there. Okay, so quickly, what did I do? That's a big learning. ArcelorMittal Steel is the big spool for turnaround, okay, because they turn around bankrupt steel companies and bring them back to life. And today they are largest in the steel manufacturing world. So what to do? We found what is the industry parameters, and we found that the same type of steel plant has almost salaries which is less than 50%. So my second finding was very surprising. We found that there are more than 8,000 people, and in this steel plant about 3,500 people are only needed. The biggest challenge was we had an agreement that for 5 years we cannot terminate anybody, and it has to be like that. The simple thing that we did, we immediately understood that if a plant requires only 3,500 people, more than 8,000 people, we don't know, maybe they might be not coming. So in a matter of 2 months, we put the biometric system in place with the thing that the door only opens if the person puts his, not the card, not the attendance card, where it can be tampered, any second person can use it, but he uses his biometrics, fingerprint. So you have to be personally present, and then also maybe the person might just do a biometrics and then go back. So what we did at the time of the entry and also at the time of the exit. The exit gate was some 10 kilometers away, so one had to actually go in a bus, and then the exit gate was there from where they could exit. You will be shocked to find that more than 2,500 people are not coming to office. So we immediately identified and stopped the salaries. So steel plant is one of the biggest plant that you can have if you don't control overheads. We also found that there were 2 blast furnaces, okay, and only 1 blast furnace was working. So the production team went into it, and also within a span of, I think maybe they took good 4 months. Blast furnace starting is not easy. And then they started the blast furnace again, and then a $5 million of overhead which is there was immediately brought back to life. Mr. Kawaja, do you have questions from the audience?
Yeah, Jaideep, we don't have any question as of now.
Okay. So I had actually promised to make it interactive that if I have at least two questions, okay, I will share the name of the family company which I am talking about. So still I have time. I'm still going on the Mithil. Please stop me if you have questions in between. So one was the overheads that we immediately brought it down, the payroll. And the second that we did was immediately we started controlling the direct expenses. So from a huge amount of coal and everything that was procured, we did a central purchasing. Fixed cost came down by at least 5% in steel company. If you bring down fixed cost by 5%, where you have maybe 50 million of fixed cost, you can imagine it's a mind-boggling figure. Okay, so more slowly and slowly things started again we started bringing back to life the direct cost. Most important thing in a steel company that we have to remember is iron ore, the sourcing. It was happening locally, so we found that the recovery from the local iron ore mines was at least 20% less. So when we started sourcing from Australia or iron ore and all, the iron and steel recovery from the iron ore, it increased significantly. Okay, and then also we got the coal from a specific area, so there is a calorific value, and this all helped to bring down the direct costs, and that is how we were able to improve the cash flow, bring down the direct cost, okay, bring down the overheads, control of the overheads, bring down on the purchase, okay, and then involvement of the team. Mithil, I can in ArcelorMittal there is a very secret thing which is now, since I have worked and it's all in the news, I can share it with you that they're doing the restructuring. This will help you throughout your life, throughout our life. The important things that they do is the key heads. They just handpick them. Finance, the general manager of the plant, purchase head, sales and distribution, supply chain. If you have all these 5 key heads, okay, because they are the 5 points from which the revenue is coming and revenue is going. If you have the 5 very strong points here, it is fixed, you can start the journey. Okay, do we have any more time, Mr. Bavaja?
No, Jaideep, just last couple of minutes for you, 3 minutes max.
Okay. So nice. So again, I have to thank you for being accommodative. Okay, in an interactive session, we are not able to actually see the audience. Okay, it's so nice. So coming back again, you have a long journey to do. You have to go. The first and foremost thing that I would give like 2-3 tips for the young chartered accountant is also turn around. You need to first build your brand image. Okay, wherever you go, you are a chartered accountant. First, build your brand image. The second and most important thing is, as a chartered accountant, even if you are communicating the turnaround plan, if it is not heard, not understood, it is all waste. So you have to really be impactful. So that is where you have to work on your communication skills. And third and most important thing is, when you walk inside any organization or anywhere for that matter, try to build relationships. For God's sake, don't react. Okay? Just don't react, okay? Listen to people, and the reaction is the last thing that you should be looking at. Have a cool mind, please. So that's all from me, and it's lovely speaking to you, and I would thank the ICAI and Mr. Bavaja especially for taking out report and reaching out to me, okay? And in my traveling schedule also I could somehow be able to do this.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Jaideep. I would request our committee secretary, Mr. G. Ranganathan ji, if he can listen to me, to please propose a vote of thanks to you. Yeah. Ranganathan ji, your voice is not coming. Yeah. Can you? Yeah, there's some issue with the voice. I would request the audience, we have a couple of minutes if members, if any question is there for Jaideep on the things. Jaideep, can you? Yeah.
You still have a chance. I can still discuss which company, which
Right.
family company
Right.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. Jadip, can you stop sharing your screen? Yeah.
Yes, of course. Why not?
Mr. Pradeep, am I audible now?
Yes, Ranganathan ji, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, there is some systemic problem. I have to leave and rejoin. So now I'm audible. Sir, it was a very wonderful session, CA Jaideep Singh, sir. And you gave very practical examples of business turnaround. You covered family-owned businesses, MNCs. In fact, sir, the clients considered CAs as complete business solution providers. So they are actually expected, whether they are in industry or they are in practice. The clients expect them that they should be part of the growth of the business. You also talked about when we talk of business turnaround, that CA not only in finance and accounts. One has to look at the production, sales, marketing, costing. These are all very, very important aspects when a CA is given a task of doing a turnaround. And your sir Algerian experience about how you discovered and eliminated the ghost employees are very interesting. So these are all out of box thinking that as chartered accountant is expected to employ. And your sessions, sir, I hope will be a very eye opener for our members who are very young members who are attending this program, who are less than 5 years into the profession. So I'm sure, sir, they would have been very greatly benefited. Thank you so very much for a very wonderful session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I just namaskar to everybody and thank you for the idea.
Thank you. Thank you, Jadip ji.
Thank you.
We will now.
Just 1 minute.
Right.
I would actually congratulate the whole team here for taking out the time and doing a wonderful job. You are doing a great, great thing. Okay, it will benefit the chartered accountants. It will be a lifelong learning for them. Again, I am repeating, you can hang your degree to the wall. The next phase of your challenge is your experience. Thank you and wish you all of you a very, very good, big luck and a happy evening to you. Good night.
Sir, we thank faculty like you, sir, who make this successful, sir. Thank you so very much for giving back to the profession, sir. Thank you, sir. Grateful.
Thank you. We move on to the last session of the day, where we have CA Balram, who is based out of Dubai, to share his experiences. Balram is a member of our institute after qualifying in May 2006 examination. Balram started Spectrum Accounting and Spectrum Auditing in the year 2015 in the month of September. And he is striving towards achieving excellence in providing auditing, accounting, and value-added tax services in Dubai, UAE. Balram is also a partner in Fulfill Tax and Consulting Services Private Limited, and he also has his audit firm in the name of V. Balaram and Associates in Hyderabad, India. Balram got trained in PwC as an audit intern, and he has worked for KPMG in Dubai and Deloitte in India. Subsequently, he joined Lamprel Energy Limited in Dubai to work in management reporting, where he worked for 3 years between 2012 to 2015. Balram is a trainer on value-added tax UAE and has conducted more than 50 sessions on UAE VAT law. Balram is acting as CFO for medium-sized companies in Dubai. Thank you so much, Balram, for taking out time and sharing your experiences. I always get inspired, the way you have developed your practice in UAE and you engage in other activities. Your entrepreneur skills have always intrigued me to know more, and your support to ICAI for different initiatives and projects has always been exceptional. Allow me to thank you from this platform for all what you have been doing for ICAI, and today taking out time for this after 30 minutes session. We are running late by few minutes, but it's fine. We can go ahead depending upon how the session goes. And I request all our young members who are here to post your questions if you have for the session. And Please help me welcome Balram with a big virtual round of applause. And Balram, the screen is yours. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pradeep ji. It was wonderful that you have introduced me in a nice way. Thank you for your kind words as well. And good evening, everyone who are here as well as in India, taking out time for attending this. I think it's a great thing. And thank you, Pradeep ji. Shall I go ahead and then share the screen? Is it fine?
Yes, you can share your screen as you feel convenient, now or later. It's fine.
Okay, fine. And what about the quality? The audio sound is fine?
Yeah, your sound is audible. It's fine.
Okay, yeah. Fine. So as Pradeep ji mentioned, I worked in PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte audit firms, as well as I also worked in the industry. Later, when I started my own practice, so I kind of had experience in industry, big four, as well as small firms. So I think the topic that was given to me is very, very, relevant as well as interesting thing for me. And I kind of can, correlate to the challenges that we generally face when we start our journey as an entrepreneur. Then also to grow it from the small startup to a medium-sized firm or whatever. Then what are the different challenges that you generally get into? So those are the few things that I just would like to cover as part of my session. And you can definitely ask your questions wherever you have, or you can stop me and you can raise your flag and then ask me questions. So let me just share the presentation that I have, a small one. The topic is very, very wide, and it is, you can have discussion, a very lengthy discussion, and you can also have a very shortcut thing. So anyways, so let me just share the presentation and then we go through this. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir, we can see it clearly.
Okay, all right, yeah. So I'm just talking about the various skills that generally is required to manage an entrepreneur or have the entrepreneurial success journey. Okay, so before just we get into this, I just would like to bring a few quotes that I know I kind of found interesting to read about the entrepreneurship. So these are the few things that I have that are quoted by a few other successful entrepreneurs. So let me just read this out. Do not focus on numbers. Focus on doing what you do best. It is about building a community who want to visit your site every day because you create value and offer expertise to your clients. The other one is that your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your own or your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. This quote was given by the founder of Apple. We know who he is. So needless to mention about him. So that's how he lived his life, and that's how he created his empire. The last one I feel is very, very important is that success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. As an entrepreneur or as a businessman, you always or you many times may think or come to a situation where you think that you are failing. Okay, so in order to avoid that situation or in order to get out of that situation, you always need to think that success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is one important thing that plays a vital role in taking the business to success. So let us just go through what are the various kind of skills that are generally required to have or to be a successful entrepreneur. So I'm just, since we are chartered accountants, so most of the young generation people are trying to get into practice or trying to get into some consulting which is specialized into it aspects. So I thought of covering some skills that are required for entrepreneurs who are planning to get into practice or planning to get into some consulting or come up with a new startup or innovative startup. So whatever skills that are required to get into those kind of things, I just thought of covering. Some of them are generic, some of them are specific, so let me just go through them. So to start any business, you need to have a proper concept, a business concept, and also have a business plan which you think or you believe in, that it becomes successful. So generally it is needless to say that we need to study what is the market trend, what is the need of the general public or the customer base that you're looking at. So unless we know where we are getting into or what is our market or what is our customer base, it is difficult to come up with a project or concept, business concept which becomes successful. You also need to see, if you are an investor and getting into a new venture, you need to see what is the benefit as an investor that you got. And needless to say, we as a chartered accountants are generally engaged for most of the projections for business plans. So we need to have proper projection which considers most of the practical aspects when you come up with the numbers. You are talking about the plan which is about the future, but you need to come up with a projection which seems to be more closer to a reality once you get into the future. The more time you invest in getting into the right numbers, the more successful it is going to be. That's why having a right business concept and having the appropriate business plan is the most crucial part of your entrepreneurial journey. And second, I would consider the financial management skills are another important set of skills that any entrepreneur should possess. We as a chartered accountants are known to have more of these skills, but however, when we have our own business or when we get into business, sometimes we may tend to lose or we may tend to ignore some of the basic concepts that we are otherwise supposed to. So in most of the business startups, as we discussed, we need to have a projection, a plan, a business plan that we've already covered. And we also need to have budgeting. Budgeting can be at the beginning of the year, or budgeting can be for any period that you think that it is required. So budgeting, as you know, can be based on your historical experience or historical statistics, or it can be based on your future projections that you consider. Or it can be a combination of both. And there are various types of budgeting that can be done. So I'm not getting into all those things at the moment. And the other important thing, most of the startup companies are companies who are medium-sized enterprises. They tend to ignore the importance of cash flow. I know there are many companies, a few of my clients, who are doing very well, a very good business, but not having proper cash flows or proper cash flow management, they got into issues and then finally they had to go and wind down their businesses. Not only medium-sized companies, I have seen the bigger enterprises or bigger companies also not having proper cash flows or cash flow management plans in place, so they had to go into the bankruptcy situation. So considering your future projections of your cash inflows and cash outflows and getting into your cash flow management situation system in a proper way is very, very important for any business to continue successfully or to run it successfully. So another important thing is, as part of the cash flows, we also can talk about working capital management. Most of the situations, what happens is that if your company is running successfully, it is well and good. But if there is any issue, And if you're unable to manage the working capital management, that's only because of, most of the times, because of not having future sightedness. Most of the people, they won't look at the very, very short-term plans and then they think that they're in a comfortable position. They also need to have the medium-term as well as long-term plan in place to see whether the business is running well or not, whether they are getting into any situations or which may create any issues for their going concern or for their business to run in future. So considering them and having enough plans in place is more important for any business or entrepreneur to run successfully. And another important thing is that if business is running well, but if the management has decided, or if you as an entrepreneur have decided to go for new initiatives, a new line of businesses, so having the same mindset of a startup or same mindset of a new entrepreneur with respect to this particular initiative is very, very important. You need to consider this as an independent activity or independent business and see whether you're going to get business out of it or whether you're going to earn money or earn profits out of it or not. Most of the businesses, what happens is that when they establish well, because they are having established business, so they also tend to get into new line of businesses which may or may not give them enough profits. Sometimes what happens is this new line of businesses may take them into so many losses or so much of losses that the existing business may also collapse because of these new line of businesses or services. So they definitely should consider every initiative as an independent line of business and see whether it is making profits or not. Whatever period they consider, maybe in a short term or medium term, and whether it is going to survive on its own, whether the financially it is going to survive on or any support from the existing. At all, if you are going to support from the existing business, is it going to repay those funds that we generally pump in from the existing businesses within short? So considering all these things into the planning and managing the financials for that particular new initiatives and new line of businesses is very important. When you as an entrepreneur, when you are running your business, you are going to be handling all the areas that are any businessman is required to do. So another important aspect or part of your portfolio is going to be like marketing, sales, and customer satisfaction. For any new companies or companies which are targeting or planning to expand the business, one of the crucial area is increasing the business. So how do we get additional business? How we will be able to generate the business? So it's predominantly depending upon the the marketing strategies that you have in place. So you need to consider whether you have to have go by a traditional way of marketing, which is like having advertisements on your TV, advertisement on your hoardings, those kind of things. Are your line of business or your service or product is more on digital platforms, so you need to adopt a digital marketing, which could be having SEO, SEO on social media, digital advertisement is going to give more results. So having that strategy in place is more important. If you have a product that generally caters to general people, so you may have to have both traditional approach of marketing your product, also having digital products or digital marketing as your marketing strategy, so could help you. Or if you are more of into latest services or trendy services, then you have to have more, because you most of the times may have your customer base on digital platforms than or traditional platforms. One classic example for this is that during 2014, when our existing prime minister, when BJP won elections in Central. So that time, I think the biggest plus point for them was getting into a digital platform and having more of social media advertisements helped them a lot. And there were a lot of studies which support this particular thing. So till then, mostly it was traditional way of campaigning and all those things. But during 2014 elections, they primarily went ahead with digital platforms and then campaigned in social media and other digital platforms. Then that supported them in a bigger way to get win the elections. So having the right strategy for your marketing and to get the business is very, very important. Considering what the competitors are doing, what you can do in a different way to attract to the customer base is more important. Not only having this strategy, but also thinking about the timing and the budget for marketing. So at what point of time of your business you need to spend your money and what is the strategy. So strategy could be different depending upon your timing and stage of your business. So for some of the services or products, having the marketing in a huge way at the beginning of the business will be more helpful. I'm also covering about the third point of ROI measurement. Is you should be able to consider or you should be able to calculate how much money, time am I investing on my marketing and sales and what is the return that I'm getting out of that. You should be able to measure it. Unless you're able to measure it, so you'll not be able to come up with the time, with the right strategy as well as the timing as to when to spend more money and cut down the marketing budget. For example, if you see this, all these latest businesses that have come up with, like Amazon or Ola or all these businesses, they had to have a lot of investments in marketing at the initial stages to create brand awareness, to know the public, to let the public know that there's a product that is coming up with a new concept, a new business concept. So in which you have to spend a lot of money in the initial stage itself to be able to promote the brand and promote the concept, to bring the awareness among the general public about your product. And so for them, the timing is that initially they have to spend. And later they may have to just continue to survive or continue to have that maintenance of the product or brand. So having these all strategies in place is more important. And to spend and what kind of strategy. Getting business or getting the customer base is very, very important for a startup and also for company, the business. And another important thing which is related to your business, getting business is customer satisfaction that you provide. If you're able to provide and if customer is satisfied, there is more possibility that he is going to bring more business for you than spending more money. So in addition to the strategies that you have in place for marketing and sales, you will have to have see how you are able to win the customer satisfaction. What are the strategies that you have in place to be able to get the satisfaction? Is very, very important. So for people who are into services, it is more important nowadays, since it is very, very transparent that whatever service you provide, because of the social media and other platforms that are available, so the service quality and the satisfaction from the customer is very transparent. Now it is publicly available. So the more money you spend or more time you spend on customer satisfaction building, the more returns you will get in the form of new business. So having right strategy for customer satisfaction also is very, very important. Next, as an entrepreneur, you need to have proper communication negotiation skills. As part of your daily routines, you may have to deal with your suppliers, you may have to deal with your investors or partners, and you may have to deal with the employees. For each of these people, you will have to have different strategies and different negotiation skills. With suppliers, you may have to negotiate with them to get a right product and a right pricing. You may have to cut down the cost or cut down the pricing of the product that you buy to be able to get proper or enough margins on your business. So for which you need to have right communication skills to negotiate with your suppliers. And you may have to have proper communication skills to negotiate or to communicate with your investors or with your partners about your business plans and about your business expansion. So you need to be able to convince them that you whatever you are thinking, so you'll also bring them on the same page to be able to think and then take them forward along with your plan and journey. As part of the business to win, you need to have proper communication and negotiation with your customers also. So you should be able to convince them as to why they should be able to buy your product, or why they should take your service compared to other competitors' service or competitors. So that is also another important of your business. And day in and day out, you will be dealing with your employees. So having a team and be able to convince and communicate with your employees in a proper manner, to be able to make them as part of your team, to make them to consider their business, your business as their business, and take it forward as a proper team and make the business successful. You have to have the right team and you have to have right communications to be able to communicate with your employees. And one of the other important skills that any entrepreneur requires is leadership skills. Leadership skills could depend upon any individual personality, and it could also be acquired through a lot of learning and experience that you gain over a period of time. So as part of your leadership skills, I think it's not just one person's work that you're going to do. As you expand your business, you need to have your right team in place. Having right team means you are able to recruit the person or right persons onto your team, and you're able to communicate. You're able to provide the right training to them and having the right coaching to them, to your team, not only to your immediate team members, also to the entire organization, depending upon their level and profile they are working on. You need to have right coaching and training skills to be partnered with them. And for service industry people, especially people who are into the practice and all, you need to have right team in place. You always need to train your team to be able to provide quality service to your clients. See, the business or the practice that we have is nothing but a team of people who are providing service day in and day out to your clients. So the more educated or more knowledgeable your team is, the more quality of service that you will be able to provide, and that gives more satisfaction from your clients also. So that's the reason why for people who are in service, and especially people who are in practice, you need to spend a lot of time and money into training yourself first, and also to train your team to be able to be equipped with the service that they require to provide. And you as a leader of your organization, you need to set the right example by following all these. You need to be on top of everything and have hands on all these regularly and constantly update your skills. And this is one of the kind of sessions that you are attending now, which really benefit you in terms of sharpening your skills. And you need to have project management skills also, because you are handling many situations day in and day out. So you may come across various tasks and you may have to work. So during the day, you will be working as a salesperson, you'll be working as an employer, you'll be working as a finance manager, you'll be working as a leader for the organization. So you will be playing various roles and you will be having various tasks on your hand. So to be able to perform all these tasks effectively and efficiently, you need to be perfect on your project management skill. You should be able to utilize your resources on hand in an effective way and an efficient way. And to be able to successful in your project management skills, there are a lot of tools that are available in the market. And if your business is such that you can manage your tasks on digital platforms or digitally, I advise you need to spend money and resource on getting onto those digital platforms. The sooner the better. There are a number of examples where even we come across. There are many clients who initially they think that the technology that they use will be sufficient if they go by a smaller tools. And then over a period, once they get their business or expand their business, they then realize that, oh, the technology that we are using is outdated or is not sufficient to handle our existing business. and then they have to switch over to our advanced technology, and then for which they have to spend a lot of money and a lot of resources will go in waste, and at the end of the day they may or may not be able to get the expected results out of that. So it is always important to spend right amount of money and resources at the beginning of your journey when you think of getting onto your digital platforms or technology, considering your future plans into it. You may have to think about next 5 years down the line, what is it going to be, and for that you should have technology in place right now. That much planning you should have, and that advancedly you need to think of. Pradeep ji, can I take it forward? I think I'm done with my time, but I still have a couple of more slides.
Yes, Balram, you can take those slides in the next 5 minutes and then we will close.
Great, thank you. So, another important aspect you as a leader is that initially when you have your own business set up as a startup, you may do all these tasks which we have been talking about on your own. But over a period, once you have a business that is grown up and you cannot handle each of it on your own. So in which case you need to start delegating your works. You may have to decide what kind of works that you can handle and what are the other works that you have to delegate to your team members. In most of the cases, what happens is that people will be reluctant to delegate their works to the subordinates. And that's one of the major drawbacks that some people may get into, and finally they may not be able to expand their business. For you to expand your business, it's not you who is going to work alone. The team that you're going to work with is going to bring your business, expand your business more. Even for me also, initially I had that struggle. Initially when I started my practice, so after a couple of years when I had enough amount of, I had to delegate my tasks. So I was a bit reluctant to delegate my tasks, but over a period then I realized that there is no other go but to delegate some of my tasks and then oversee or control those tasks by having right kind of tools in place. So you need to identify the right person who is capable enough to take it forward and handle that. At the same time, you have enough controls in place to monitor those tasks after delegation, that they are doing it in the right manner or not, and whether they are getting the right results out of the works that have been delegated. And another important task that most of the companies nowadays are doing, in fact, for last 10 days they have been doing, considering the possibilities of outsourcing the task. You may not have the enough skill set in your own team, and at the same time it may become expensive for you to employ that person who has got that particular skill set. In which case you may consider to outsource that particular task to another professional company or body who is able to deal or handle that task more efficiently in a cost-effective manner. For example, for my company, if you take my digital marketing, I cannot handle it. At the same time, I cannot have a full-time employee working only for this particular task. So in which case, what I considered is to outsource this particular task to another digital management company, wherein they are able to do it in a more professional way and considering the advanced technology to do this task in a more cost-effective manner, so which is serving my purpose. Over a period, I may then consider later to have my own employee as part of my team once I get enough business to take it. So I can change the strategy accordingly. So this is how you need to keep on changing your strategy depending upon your stage of the business. And you need to have the other skills to be able to solve the problems, solving skills. I think we've already spoken about many of the skills that are required for an entrepreneur, so that skills that are required for problem solving. But you, as an entrepreneur, you should have that mindset. But, there's a lot of difference when you are working as an employee and when you are working as an entrepreneur. You should be ready to take up any challenge that comes in your journey. So that requires preparation mentally also. So you should be ready to take up any challenge and then deal with that to get this right kind of solution and then become successful. And one other important skills that generally entrepreneurs requires is networking skills. Most of our chartered accountants, this is one of the important skills that we lack mostly. And this is more challenging in the case of people who are working as employee, because the profile that they work in generally doesn't demand to have networking skills or networking with other people. But as you get into a business or as you get into practice, this networking skills or networking requirement is going to be very, very higher. For everything, to be able to get the right person onto your team, or to be able to get the business, to be able to expand or to start your business, you need to have the right network of people who will be able to support you in the form of suppliers, in the form of customers, in the form of buyers and partners or investors. So you need to have that networking skills. And if required, you need to attend some of the courses which are available online as well as offline to improve these skills and to be able to take forward your business to run it. And just to remap or put into different buckets, just whatever skills that we have discussed, we can just bucket them into three different buckets. Like, you need to have entrepreneurial skills, you need to have management skills, you need to have technical skills. Technical skills, we have already learned most of it as part of your course curriculum as well as in the training. So you are generally equipped. But as part of your management skills, you need to train your team and your employees. Whatever knowledge or technical knowledge that is required, you need to focus more on this management skills to be able to bring up your team to your expectations as well as to client expectations. But for us, for people who are moving from employment to the business, or people who are starting or getting into business, or people who are taking over the business, one of the most set of skills that are required are entrepreneurship skills, which is nothing but you as a person should have your discipline. Inner discipline is more important than what you learn outside. So you should have that interest, you should have that energy or enthusiasm, and to make yourself disciplined and follow your principles is more important than having right technical skills at the beginning. And as I mentioned earlier, you need to have that aptitude or ability to take risk. Having business or getting into business is nothing but getting into risk. And you should be ready to take those risks, take up those challenges. And recently, the business concept that people are getting into is more innovative. So make sure that you have that in your mind when you get into entrepreneurship. You are getting into innovative also. Whatever service you are providing, make sure that you are also coming up with the innovative trends or innovative services or innovative way of taking your brand forward. So that also is very, very important nowadays to be able to successful entrepreneurship here. And one last thing is that change oriented. So you in business, change, the one thing which is constantly going to happen is change. At every stage, the change is going to happen. So you should be ready to embrace that change, adapt to that change, and change your model and strategies and get used to that change and then become successful entrepreneur. So this is what I have. And if you have any questions on it, I'm ready to take up. Otherwise, thank you very much from my side to provide this platform to share my thoughts. I know time was very, very limited. I could not any other practical examples that I thought of, but considering the time into factor, I tried to finish the session in the best possible manner. And thank you, Prabdeep ji, and also ICAI. And I wish each one of you who are part of this program very successful journey in whatever you take up. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Balram. Now I request our committee secretary, Ranganathan ji, to please propose a vote of thanks.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to propose vote of thanks to CA Balram. Am I audible, Mr. Prabdeep?
Yes,
Yes.
Ranganathan.
Sir, it was a real pleasure listening to you. although your session was just over half an hour, but you are very nicely covered everything that requires to become an entrepreneur. It was a wonderful session, and I can see that you are quite a young man, but seems to be entrepreneur yourself. So actually, sir, most of our these newly qualified students and people who are attending this program are those who are into the profession for less than 5 years. Most of them go into industry, and then almost everyone lands up at the end of their career. They are at a higher position. But one thing which needs to be remembered is that when you become an entrepreneur, you actually generate employment. You don't become an employee; you become an employer. And then the various skills that you talked about, being an entrepreneur, the business planning skills, you talked about financial management, CRM, communication skills. We actually emphasize a lot on communication skills. The earlier session was on communications, negotiation skills, then leadership you talked about. Very importantly, delegation of work, which you have talked about, and time management. Very, very important things. If one can develop all these things, then sky is the limit. And we are thankful to you, sir, for sparing your time. And we hope that some of these employees today would convert themselves and promote themselves as entrepreneurs, and maybe they'll thank you one day for that. Thank you so very much, sir. Very grateful to you for your time and your words of wisdom. Very grateful to you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Balram. Sincere gratitude to all our members who are present here today. Remember that tomorrow we are meeting again at 6 p.m. with 2 sessions, a speaker from talking about Africa, and then second speaker from Chicago, America, who will talk about effective organizational navigation. So please be here tomorrow. Stay safe, take care. Good night. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.